kind of deep. But, that's what it's about. This weekend's about, celebrating those freedoms that we have, that we can enjoy. Spending time with the families. I was able to spend time with my brother and dad out on the lake. My brother caught all the fish, of course. Caught 4, but it was, it didn't bother me. It was about just spending that time with them. Because I know my brother's going to spend time with his kids and stuff for this 4th of July weekend. So it felt good to, spend that little time with him. As I got back, seen some of the stuff that's been posted today, news-wise. It's like, kind of fit into some of tonight's topics. I'm probably going to keep this stream short for tonight. But as far as cryptocurrency goes, I'm not a big fan of it, but I cover the other aspects of it. The fact that you guys have already been programmed to use it. We're already using it. In a sense, we're kind of already using it. We're using our phones to pay for the bills, or pay for stuff online, or pay stuff at Walmart. We're using, instead of taking cash out of the ATMs now, we're just using our debit card with the chips in them. So you guys have already been pretty much, taught how to use cryptocurrency. We don't call it that yet. Some of the issues I had with the cryptocurrency. One, nobody knows who created the Bitcoin. Some anonymous guy. We don't even know what I don't think anybody knows what the currency is. Chris will be able to tell us better than that if he can get on here and join us tonight. But, then we have other forms of cryptocurrency coming up. I can also see how, something most people don't realize. The gaming community, those that played World of Warcraft, Diablo, and the games where you had a currency inside the game. World of Warcraft is gold. I'm not quite sure what Diablo was. I never really played it. But in a sense, you also had, for those that played Star Wars or Star Trek, you had the credit systems, little credit chips. It's not a new concept. It's been around for years. But we've seen a uptick in it dealing with World of Warcraft. People would just gold farm because they could take a piece of game, the imaginary currency, and actually sell it for real currency. And you started seeing them farming stuff, working the auction house. In a sense, they were being programmed and taught how to use a crypto-type currency. Then they introduced to where you could buy your game time for gold in the game. So now you're taking a invisible asset that doesn't exist. Basically, it's intellectual property. And you're putting a value on it. So our younger generations that game and stuff are being taught forms of cryptocurrency. And we start looking at today, New Jersey, broke. Illinois, broke. New Jersey closed down the parks and stuff. Illinois has pretty much been rated as don't understand the money rating system, but they're broke. They're in debt. They're on the verge of economic collapse. And they're going to get hit even more because, Illinois. Chicago, sanctuary city. Funding's going to get cut, which is going to hurt them. I think I heard somebody say there's 5 states that's pretty much, well, on the verge, basically, declaring bankruptcy. This shouldn't be. But now let's look at this for a second. Let's just hypothesize here. Isn't that what they want? Now, I was watching a podcast this week. Unfortunately, they had a hard time. The connection wasn't that great, which we've all been dealing with the bad connections here on YouTube this week, especially on interesting topics. It seems like the only time it doesn't when there's an interesting topic. But the guy talked about, because there's other forms, I don't know all their names, I just know Bitcoin is the more famous one, but there's other ones. And some of these other ones, I think it's Ethereum or Ethereum, something like that on those lines. I can't now. You can actually check out Dabu7. He talks about it a lot, so does whom it may be. They all talk about it. But whom it may be had a special guest on. I can't remember his name, but this dude was awesome. He broke it down. And, he was talking about how, our tech guys out there in Silicon Valley, they're buying into this, they're creating these. Then we got people like PayPal buying in. But he also said, on one of them, if our major banks are starting to buy in. When our bank starts to buy in, we've got trouble because it's no longer it's putting control right back in the bank. And my opinion, my thoughts and stuff on that was, well, it doesn't matter. You can create a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. If the banks and our governments and the other world governments don't have control over it, they're not going to allow it to take place. They want to control it. By controlling the currency, they control you. Now that's my take on this. But if you start having states go belly up, bankrupt, collapse, economic collapses, they're going to start looking to another currency-backed system to replace things with. And everybody's been programmed and prepped for it. So now would be the time to collapse the economy and introduce a new system. We can no longer, to me, you have to have a substance. You have to have it based on something. Bartering is a form of cryptocurrency, believe it or not, because we put value on an item. We put values on a person's skills. This person knows how to do these things, therefore he has value. He has worth. I think some people forget their history still. We have to go clear back, since we're celebrating Independence Day. Our independence, our freedom. We also got to understand, back then, we had a currency. We had to create a currency. We created the bicentennial coin, or the centennial coin. Well, no other country would accept it. It wasn't worth nothing. It had no value because it wasn't backed by something. I think that's something people are forgetting. What is Bitcoin backed by? Dude said assets by, but did he back it by the dollar? Because if he did, truthfully, the Bitcoin is not worth it. What? And basically, that's what we got to look at. I don't think anybody knows. I haven't heard anybody say what the currency, what is it back? It's just like the dollar used to be gold. Then they moved it petroleum to oil. And we see how unstable oil is. We still have gold and silver. It still has a monetary value. It still has value. When people aren't screwing with the markets and jacking them up or forcing them to go down. We just had a couple big banks get caught again. And when they get a slap on the wrist, they fine. And we're starting to see the cryptocurrency. We're starting to see them go up, go down. But yet, what's the backing? It has to have something that gives it value. Or are we dealing with what they've taught the gamers? Intellectual value. It's an intellectual property. So therefore, value is based on that. Well, those of us gaming, we've seen how that got abused. They got abused, but still being abused. So we know that without a backing, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, cryptocurrency, and it's something I foresee them I don't see it being a gradual procedure. They're waiting for the older generation to pass on. It is something they're going to implement. And, it could be a one world currency, depending on how it is played out. Because every country is in financial turmoil, except for maybe China. But China can back all their stuff with gold. Just like the United States, the debts we owe China. If China wanted to be pricks, they could demand it paid in gold, which we do not have. So these are the things, we need to think about when we're dealing with talking about cryptocurrency. When we're dealing with, basically to me, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, right now, to me, it's an intellectual property. Actually, our Centennial coin had more value than what a Bitcoin would have because it was made of some metal material, even though no other country would recognize that until we backed it by gold. But that's why I added psychological programming or psychological warfare in this, because they have psychologically programmed you already to do more online, to buy with credit cards with chips in them. Most people don't carry cash. Then we've got, you can order your stuff right from your phones and have it delivered. Just much like if Chris would join us, he's going to talk about how, eventually we're not going to be going to work, to factories and doing manual labor anymore. We're going to be paid for more for our intellectual skills, writing, philosophizing, stuff like that. When he talks about it, it sounds like an awesome utopia. Honestly, to me it does, but I can't see it ever working. I can see the techie side of it. I can see the technology growing. I can see us. Yes, we'd be more happier as a society because we don't have all the stress and burdens, but I see us being controlled. Let's look at it this way. As we're talking now, we got Walmart and Amazon fighting each other. Basically, Walmart's telling the truckers, if you ship for Amazon, we're not going to deal with you. Which is stupid on Walmart's part because Amazon's trying to go, drone delivery. They're into the electric car, driverless cars, so truck driving industry is going to go away. Walmart could catch in on that and still stay around, even though they would be considered archaic, or they can step up to the times and start doing the same thing. Eventually what I see happening, and people probably disagree with me 100% on this, but I eventually seeing one swallowing the other. Basically a merger, and Walmart and Amazon becoming a single entity, a single business corporation, basically a monopoly. Because anything else, look at Walmart. They're under threat from Dollar Day or Dollar Store. There's a dollar store in every town, no matter where you live. You're within probably 15 minutes from a dollar store. They said they're expected to put 80% more dollar stores around the U.S., increasing jobs, but they're minimum wage jobs. You know, interesting theory. It's interesting to see how some of this stuff is playing out. But before I see a cryptocurrency coming in, I see a social economic collapse, much like we're starting to see in 5 states. And other states are following suit. I mean, in Jersey, they shut everything down, which is the most disrespectful thing you could do in a holiday season, because this is the week where they could generate money, where people are going to be coming, visiting, traveling, putting money into stores, businesses. So now they're hurting the American people. They're hurting their own selves. It makes no sense, other than they're intentionally doing it to cause disruption, to cause chaos, to cause people to not remember what this day is supposed to be about. This weekend's supposed to be about. I mean, I still live out in the country, you know. I'm not in the big cities or anything. So I get there and still enjoy these things that people aren't going to get to enjoy. I mean, the place I went fishing today used to be a, wildlife preserve. It was protected. You know, you had to sign in. There's like 20 lakes, and it's right next to the Boy Scout area, but it's all wildlife preserve. But they put like lakes, and they got a huge Lake Las Leonas is a huge lake. It used to be only like 10 boats could be on there, and 15 people. That's it. And there was a limit to how many people could be on the boat. And you had to reserve that. Then they had the other lakes that you could go out to. Some didn't have boat ramps. You could only walk, and some had boat ramps. But they kept it stocked. They kept regulation on it. The regulation's still in place. You know, they just closed down. It was back when, you know, we went through our little deficit. Obama cut all the wildlife park rangers, park services. They never rehired them. So they basically end up opening it up to the public. They still patrol it, but they only got one wildlife preserver that comes around, or game warden that comes around. And he's responsible for the whole county. So, you know, I'm sure people aren't obeying the law, you know, when it comes to bass. Like, we didn't catch enough that we could bring home. We obey the law. You know, 18 inches on the largemouth bass, 16 inches on the smallmouth bass, and bluegill is like, I don't know, not that big. But you get the point, you know, there's still regulations to keep it from being depleted. And it's a wildlife preserve. You can walk the trails. You can go to the Boy Scout reservation and walk their trails, and they've got some nice trails. You just can't go out there when they got events. Right now they got events going on at the Boy Scout camp. So you're stuck to the wildlife reserve area. But it's an awesome place. It's beautiful. And, you know, and we've seen families out there picnicking, fishing. You know, it was nice. But yet, you know, they still never, you know, after we even recovered, they never rehired Park Service. So they, you know, so it's still open to the public. They still keep it stocked. And like I said, they do patrol it. I didn't see the game warden the whole time he was out there, but like I said, he's responsible for our whole county. So there's tons of lakes he's got to, where before they had somebody, two park rangers stationed there. And it goes to show us that There's still jobs out there that they never replaced after the economy got better. So you can see the preparations for a cryptocurrency. Will it be Bitcoin, or will it be one of the other 3 or 4 that are out there? I do not know. But I don't believe, and I don't agree with what other people say, that it's going to be a gradual. They've already put the process through. I mean, look at the gaming industry. The gaming industry is huge right now. You know, they're running live competitions where you can get paid weekly over a game. Or, like I explained with WoW, World of Warcraft. It's a multi-billion-dollar organization. They're making millions because when I talked about how you could buy your game time with gold, well, yeah, a lot of people started doing it, but here's how that works. You can buy a game card, or you buy a game card. You still have, to get started, you got to buy one, and you put it on the auction house. When I first did it, it was starting about 20,000 gold, which is quite doable in a month, easy. And then, as the auction house goes, people started raising the prices. So now, I think last time I checked, it was like 54,000 gold. I mean, I'll go buy a game card for $19 for 30 days. Because you just can't make that much gold unless you're playing the auction house, and that's not, to me, that's not playing the game. But still, it's an intellectual property unless you buy the game card. So there was a gimmick there because they knew what was going to happen. I don't know, cryptocurrency. I think it's a fun concept, but eventually, yeah, we're going to be there. It'll be pretty much what chip. Yeah, we're allotted so much for whatever our skills are and our value. They deem our value is, and that will be our weekly allowance, basically. I don't hear many people talking about that side of it. And like I said, it's hypothetical. You don't know. We just keep working on things, keep getting caught up in all the other stuff that goes around. Just like there's so much stuff going on in our government right now we're not paying attention to. We're all caught up in the Project Veritas stuff with the CNN fake news, the leaks. We're missing real news. We're missing real things. The sanctuary thing was important. Most people didn't really tune into it, pay attention to it, sadly, because they would have got to see some of how our system is working. They'd seen how the left and right, the differences. And it was a huge difference. You could tell instantly just by the verbiage. Illegal alien, immigrant. That's how they'd word it. Illegal immigrant or immigrant. Then they say immigrant, and basically, yes, what they were arguing was right. And their rhetoric was right. It wasn't a lie. It was truthful. Because they are immigrants that are in the United States, are here legally, waiting through visas, or going through the process of becoming citizens, or here on work passes or school passes. They are protected by the Constitution. It's illegal, and they refused use the word illegal. Illegal is when you step across the border without a visa, a work pass, a school visa, or some special form to be allowed over here. You've committed a crime. This is why you are called an illegal citizen or an illegal immigrant. You have no rights to the Constitution. The only rights you have is to be deported back. You have, which, and that's what pissed me off. Anybody on Twitter, you've seen the last music video I shared by Five Finger Death Punch. Wrong Side of Heaven. The video has a lot of meaning. It's talking about our vets who are homeless. We have more homeless vets and more homeless people in California, but they're spending billions on illegal immigrants, billions on sanctuary cities that's not even going to take care of the American people. I got a problem with that. I got a huge problem with that. These are, especially our vets, they have fought and served this country. They do not deserve to be treated as second-class citizens. They don't deserve to be treated like they're not even a citizen. You're treating illegal citizens better than you are treating your homeless and your vets. And that should be a crime. Because they fought and bled. Many have died for our stars and stripes, for our freedoms, our liberties, our rights, our Constitution. To say an illegal citizen has more value and right than them is a disgrace. And that's what these sanctuary cities are saying. I don't get why it's even tolerated. But yet I do. I see it. We're so divided between left and right. We're divided about Black Lives Matter, feminists, LGBT communities. Why? Because they let people into their organizations and change things, change the voice, the meaning of what those things stood for. Sometimes you got to follow the money. Other times you can look, you can see. Life is not easy. I understand that. We have our differences. We have people that claim to be constitutionalists, but yet when it comes to those certain issues, they can't see past their own morality. And that doesn't make you a constitutionalist. It actually makes you a hypocrite. Because you're denying them what you claim to believe in. What you claim the Constitution is meant to believe, which is freedom, liberty, freedom to express yourself, freedom to believe and practice the religion you want, equality. But we've got these people in these groups now, they're killing the very voice of these groups by changing the rhetoric, changing things. Because, I tell you what, I've supported LGBT communities in the past, still support them today. But they become divided. And that's just it. These groups have become divided. You've had these people that infiltrated their groups and started playing politics, playing on political agendas. The travel ban on these countries. If they've seen some of the videos, maybe that's what needs to happen. People need to see these videos, what they do to these people, what they do to the women. Then they would realize it would be a reality check. It'd show them. And they wouldn't be out there allowing these people to infiltrate them. They'd be saying, no, that's not, no. This is what they did, and they'd be all for a travel ban. There's nothing unconstitutional about it. Our Supreme Court done ruled on it. But yet, now we got lawyers and stuff, people trying to end it. It's ridiculous. They're disrespecting our Constitution once more. But, here's the worst part of it is, that's what they want. They want the division. They want something to cause civil unrest. So they can just take everything away. We're always looking for the right answers. We're always looking for things, but you want to start finding the right answers? Start taking a step back. Stop listening to mainstream news. Stop listening to political rhetoric. I don't care if it's right or left. They all have rhetoric. They all have an agenda, and guess what? The agenda isn't we the people for the people, and most of the agenda is not even what our president wants. There's been such a big psychological warfare going on. You guys don't even see it. Most of you couldn't even see it if you wanted to anymore. Let's Make America Great Again. What's the hashtag for it? What's the slogan? Well, let me tell you something, guys. What you just created with the MGA, or MAGA, Make America Great Again, yeah, make the burst your bubbles, but that is sigil magic. You created a sigil. Positive one. But at the same time, those that know how to use it can make it a negative one. They can use it against you because you're not aware of these things. You create things. They've tricked you. They tricked us from the beginning when they came out with texting. We started shortening words. Guess what? We start same thing. You guys don't realize the big scope of things. You don't realize. You see cool images on Facebook, on Twitter. You don't realize that memes and stuff. I've showed you. I've actually caught grief for this image already because I'm showing the stars and stripes and the stars and bars. Well, to those people, get over it. It's our history. And if you actually knew your history, you would learn something about the stars and bars that you've been misled to believe. It's the image on the left. I think it's the image on the left. Make sure it's not mirror. How its mirror's not even showing. Huh, imagine that. And I'm screen sharing. The Stars and Stripe, and this is historically documented, was the first flag flown in the first KKK thing. Not the Stars and Bars on the left. Thank you. I thought so. It wasn't mirroring it. I know sometimes this thing mirrors things because it flips them. That can still be found in your history, guys. Broke down the Democratic Party. Yeah, you guys were tricked and deceived on that one, too. They've never been about the minority or the black community or the Hispanic community. And you can just go look at the legislation they've passed, things they've done. They've made sure these school systems didn't get any better. They opposed the civil rights movement. And these are the things I was taught in history class. I guess they don't teach that no more. You know, but hey, I'll give you guys credit. I even bought into it. I thought, finally, we got to change. Finally, we got, you know, we finally built something, and all of a sudden we've seen what came about of it. We got 8 years of, yeah. I don't even want to get started on that one, because biggest joke of a presidency ever. But when you start getting everybody divided, people start not paying attention to what's going on. You know, how many people are going to know this weekend that 5 states are ready to declare bankruptcy? How many people are actually, unless you live in New Jersey, how many people are going to know that New Jersey closed everything down? No parks, no nothing. Out of all the weekends to do it, out of all the times to do it, you chose our 4th of July weekend, our Independence Day, to do that. That should tell you there's something very wrong, something very big in the works. You don't shut things down like that. Not on this holiday weekend. Then come to find out, Illinois kind of pretty much did the same thing, basically but they're ready to go bankrupt. They owe more money than they can even pay. They're that far in debt. The only alternative is bankruptcy. Then what do we get? We get a few more states to it. Maybe that's when we'll see these cryptocurrencies slide in, one of them. But I tell you what, it's not going to be Bitcoin. Bitcoin was the social experiment. It's going to be the ones these major banks have started funding. Ones that PayPal jumped into. They're not going to give somebody that they don't even know, which I'm sure they know who created Bitcoin, control over the currency. No government in their right mind is going to lose control of their currency. It'll be, like I said, we're talking, since this is Independence Day, let's go clear back to history. Let's go back to the centennial coin. What did Britain and France tell us about the coin? We don't recognize it. It has no monetary value. It has nothing backing it. But now we start getting banks backing a cryptocurrency. Now you can start to see how things are starting to unravel. They're not going to lose their control. I really do wish Chris could have joined us tonight, because he'd break it further down. He'd show you, and then truthfully, it sounds like a utopia where you're paid to work at home, because we already see the robotics coming into places. There's a pizza joint that'll deliver pizza to your table in 4 minutes, all done by robotics. Swipe your little debit card, bank card that's got that chip in it. It's a form of cryptocurrency. It's a form of programming to get you used to it. Or, pay off your phone through apps like PayPal, Uber. See the programming? Can even take it to the gaming industry. All the gold farmers in World of Warcraft, all the auction house players in World of Warcraft and Diablo. Same thing happens on Star Trek and Star Wars. They trained the young generation to use intellectual property that actually has no value, but you could make value off it. You could turn around and sell. Yes, Mr. Anderson, I fully agree. Welcome, thank you. It's the only way. No government in their right mind is going to give control to an anonymous person. Common sense. And honestly, I think that should be required reading. Thomas Paine's Common Sense. In fact, I think all of our senators and any government employee from state to federal should be mandatory reading for them. Oh yeah, the dollar's done. That's the thing. If the dollar's done, does that mean we're running out of oil resources? Have we taxed the oil resources that much? And we can't go back to gold because we don't have it. China's the one with all the gold. And that's the other scary part. As much money as we owe China, they can demand us pay it in gold. I don't know who the idiot, well, yeah, I know who the idiot was that agreed to that. But what can you do? I mean, damn, I wish Chris would come on. But, he broke it down good. I mean, me and him have done a few podcasts together. And it's like he said, basically you're going to get paid for your worth, but it's not a pay for your worth. It's like being a child again. Here's your allowance for the week based on your skills. Well, who judges what skills you are worth? Most people spent most of their lives in the factory. I spent my life in factory, construction, fast food, a chef. Yeah, I'm a jack of all trades. Yes, I have computer skills and tech skills. How do you value my work? It depends on the situation, the job that's needed. Like I said, bartering is a form of cryptocurrency. Except for bartering, everything has value, including your services. And they don't want us to have that because they got to pay us by our service and our values from our knowledge and wisdom. They can't afford it. It goes back to how I said minimum wage. Well, raising minimum wage will never work because there's no regulations on the corporate sector. In order to have, here's what happens. When you raise the minimum wage, let's say $18, at the average when I did that video was about $3.50 a gallon of milk. Well, that gallon of milk would increase to match the raise in minimum wage. So therefore, you're still paying the same amount for the gallon of milk, just at a higher price. It matched your increase. Here's the trick. Now you're making more, you're in a higher tax bracket. So you're actually making less because they're taking more taxes from you. So you have less money to spend until you set regulations. Yes, corporations and businesses need to be able to make money, but they can't increase to match the hike. There has to be a limit to where they're making money, you're making money, and you're making money in the higher tax bracket. They don't want that system. Like I said, I don't get sometimes. I get it because it's the division. They get you so divided, so separated, to where you can't see right from wrong anymore. There's just so much out there, so much in our face. I have the advantages. Like I said, I didn't own a cell phone until I started, like 3 years ago. I had no need for it. But when I moved, was living in North Carolina and working, I had a need for it. Because, like I said, talk about programming, the things that come off the energy, vibrations, and frequencies that come off that thing will blow your mind. It can change your moods. It can cause you to see things, hallucinate. It's much like EMF. EMF can cause you to hallucinate, see things, hear things. It's just an energy. It's a buildup of energy that affects your body. Because you got to remember, we have protons, electrons inside our body. Our brain fires much like a computer with electricity. And it can be manipulated through waves of energy. Certain types of things can affect you. Just like it's been proven, visual stuff can affect you. Images. So you guys don't understand. I mean, those that studied a little bit of occult will understand what I'm saying. The fact that an image has more meaning than what you realize. It's the subliminal stuff that's hidden inside it. That, oh, that looks cool. But you don't, what you miss is inside, you're missing the subliminal. Like YouTube does it, has been doing it a lot. I won't stop be doing it today, but the little images that's right next to the YouTube, they're for a reason. Because you can only, really, you're paying attention to what you're watching, so you're catching it out of your peripheral. So it's not registering, you're sidetracked, but you're focused on the video you're watching. When you are focused, you are open. You're more open. And what you're catching out of your peripheral is going right straight to your brain. Right straight to your conscious and subconscious. And it's just not that. It's how they use things, do things. Like Sesame Street. I don't have kids. Thank God, actually. I'm thankful for that because I want kids in this day and age right now. You have them watching PBS, Public Broadcasting Service, Sesame Street. I don't know if the Mr. Rogers on anymore, but that's what I grew up with. But I started, because my friend had kids, I'd watch the kids, hello, cleaning house, doing chores and stuff. You let the kids watch the educational programs because it's teaching them reading, writing. There's the trick. It's teaching them those things, so therefore you think it's right. But then you start seeing other things being mixed in, like race stuff, or stuff that you don't want them to be taught at that age. You have to remember, right now, from the age 2 till about 7 is when they are most programmable. They don't know yet right from wrongs for a lot of things. They haven't had the experience. So the things they take in, the things they view, programs them. And I hate saying that, but that's the truth. And I tell people, be more observing what you're letting them watch. Because a little stunt they pulled this week with CNN and Sesame Street and Elmo, I'm still waiting to hear back from a few people that I've got rewatching that. I swear that one guy said help teachers and help, yeah, the T word, guys. But, the T word, if I say on here, I'll seem to have all kinds of headaches and crashes with Hangouts. But he just said it so softly. I mean, I went and put headsets on and turned the volume all the way, make sure I heard what I thought I heard. It was just so subliminally thrown in there. And the way he was talking, it just rolled right out and he kept on going. Life, like I said, it's all about programming these days. Preparing you for things that they want to throw at you. They get you divided, they get you arguing things, not paying attention, they get you so caught up, so stressed out, working 2 jobs, not having time to keep an eye on what your kids are actually being taught. all you want to do is come home and eat, relax, probably go to bed. So you watch the news or watch whatever you're doing. And you don't have time to keep up with all this stuff. That's the sad part of it. Then a lot of our younger generation, they spend so much time in front of their cell phones, iPads, and don't realize the programming that's going on. You know, it's kind of like I said, when it comes to the cryptocurrency, it's just another form of program. They slowly introduced ATMs, then they put the chips in, so the easy readers, that's what they called the thing, you push your credit card up, easy reader for the chip. Now most people don't carry no more, lucky if most people carry 20 bucks in their pocket. Why? Because they got their little debit card. ATM, they don't even go to the ATM anymore, unless it's really an emergency. Why? Because you don't need it. Or I can use my cell phone with the right apps, pay for my food at Starbucks off my PayPal. What's the need for currency? But at the same time, somebody's got to control it. That's why I said that, why I stand by what I said. Bitcoin's the biggest social experiment out there. Because Bitcoin's not the one that's getting backed by PayPal. It's not the one getting backed by Silicon Valley. It's not the one that these banks jumped into. Digital dependency, exactly, Mr. Anderson. And for real, we are. They took all. I found one payphone. I finally found a payphone. Tell me where you can find a payphone these days. And if you actually found a payphone, tell me how many people actually know how to use it. You're dependent on your cell phone. Most people don't even have landlines now. You know, Chris will sit here and tell you how beautiful tech is. Yeah, I found a payphone. I don't know if it worked. I didn't stop. It was Metal Lake, the old bait shop and bar. Still got a payphone in front of it. Probably not hooked up, but still standing there though. I mean, I haven't seen a payphone, wow, since late 90s, 98, 99. I mean, everybody's dependent on the cell phones. I mean, most people probably don't even know how to use a CB because they're so hooked on the satellite CBs or the satellite. And I've seen cell phones with very apps for them. So most people don't know how to use a CB or a ham. You know, I grew up with CBs. Now we have a base CB set up. It's all, you know, I mean, truckers still do it, but they're taking it away from the truckers. Most truckers now use cell phones or iPads. It's like the old tech is slowly going away, which sometimes is a good thing, sometimes a bad thing. I mean, kind of glad we don't have these old VCR tapes anymore or betas. Yeah, the basics. I mean, but that's the worst part. Most people, I mean, today I got to enjoy fishing. Most people don't even know how to hook and bait a hook or do their lines and fish. And if they catch something, they wouldn't know how to clean it and cook it. Of course, I've also been warned not to show videos like that on YouTube. It's not going to stop me, but I haven't caught nothing. I mean, I caught 4 fish today, and they all had to go back. Like I said, yeah, everything has value. I actually did a video on that in the strategy, so about, well, I can't remember what video it was. I've done too many this week. But clear down to a cord. Electrical cord has value. You have value. Your knowledge, your skills, has value. But the more people that get inclined to tech that aren't engineering on the tech side, where's your value? All you know is what's to work in front of a computer. All that goes down goes away. What can you do? Can you fish? Can you hunt? Can you trap? Can you sew? Which, for all the men out there, learn how to sew. Not a bad skill to pick up. You know, go to the dollar store. They've got these nylon net bags meant to throw wet clothes in or dirty clothes in. It has multiple uses. Other than putting clothes in it, you can, if you don't have a fishing net, you can use it to fish with because the holes are so small, and just like the stuff I had. I had a whole king-size waterbed. I made me a sawmill, a portable sawmill, off of 7.5 foot, 2 rail frames. Yeah, that is the problem. Mr. Anderson, you are very right. Because without that, you can't get nothing going. You can't teach. There'll just be nothing but arguing. People aimlessly doing things. They won't realize the value of things. They won't realize that some things have to be rationed. And that's another reason of the psychological programming with the division and stuff. They want everybody divided, so we can't build communities like that. It's so hard to find common ground. Chris, you're not watching. Okay. Yeah, who do you trust? That's kind of why I hang around more with preppers, but I'm the chameleon though. Even when I was young, I'd go from circle to circle. Different groups, different people. I learned to blend into all my surroundings. I learned so much doing that. I mean, now not so much, but I still know how to blend in. I know how to talk to people, find common ground. But even now, it's hard to find common ground with people. Because, I have knowledges in other areas that most people don't want to hear about. Try to reach the young generation. That's almost impossible. I mean, I got to work with the young generation when I was living in Boone, North Carolina, when I was working as a chef. I got to work with the college kids, and boy, was that an eye-awakening experience. It was like, but there were some people that were awake and understood things. But that was because I was in the South. That's something I've learned. It's much different in the North. All that hospitality is not up here. And that's actually what I do miss the most. I've always missed it. Down there, if you break down, you're not even had a chance to even pick up your cell phone. Somebody stopping. Do you need help? Can I help you? Can I give you a ride? Or can I help you fix it? But I started watching that. That's slowly going away. I mean, for me, when I tell people, when it comes to who do you trust, go off your instincts. Because that's what you're going to have to rely on. You're going to have to rely on your instincts. You're going to have to rely, are you a people person? If not, I don't look down because I'm not a really big people person. But you have to be, because you have to coincide. You have to coexist with people. You have to somehow find common ground. And that's why, Mr. Anderson, I've seen you around. Brian, and that's why I got a lot of respect for what all you guys do, because you find a way to bring people in and coexist as a community. You know, I have my little circles, you know, in and out of the prepper communities, but I also, that's the way I grew up. I grew up with older people, vets. You know, I was more, not the younger generation, I wanted to be around the older generations. People from the 60s, the hippie generation, not so much the hippie generation, but, you know, the protest generations. I learned a lot from them. I was never the one, I couldn't learn anything from my generation. Of course now, a lot older, and it's like, you know, you sit here and look at the world around you, it's like, damn, where do you fit in anymore? I mean, yeah, I'm a jack of all trades. I mean, because I've made myself learn. You know, I get on YouTube a lot and knock YouTube for the censorship they do, but at the same time, the vast amounts of knowledge you can come on here and learn, you can learn any skill you want. I mean, I didn't have no degree in computers. I learned how to build a social platform, my own servers, all off YouTube, to where I can do contract jobs now on the side when I'm out of work. I taught myself new skills. That's the important thing, guys. You've got to teach yourself new skills. And just not new skills, old skills. Teach yourself how to make a paddle lathe, a foot pedal lathe, a foot pedal sewing machine, an old school drill, how to make block and tackle. These are things you'll need. Just like I'm getting ready to make, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use the actual real lathe, but I'm going to make arrow shafts. Knowing how to fletch arrows, make your own arrows and the arrowheads is an important skill. It's an important survival skill because you will need to be able to hunt. You know, there's just so much out there right now. There's just so much going on. That's the big thing. What do you tune in? Like right now, I'd love to see people paying attention to what Gabbard, I think that's her name. She's proposing a bill to Congress to stop them funding groups like ISIS, militant groups. And it was, last time I checked in on it was Tuesday. Only 13 senators are backing it. She's proposed this. Nobody wants to jump on it. And it goes back to what I said. Also pay attention to the rhetoric. It was the way they did that sanctuary stuff, the bills for the laws on that, you could see the difference between left and right. It was the way they word things. One side would say illegal immigrant or illegal citizen or illegal alien. The other side would just say immigrant. When you do that, they are right. They're not lying. An immigrant is either in the country legally, on a visa, on a work pass, or a special privilege thing, and they're just doing, and they have the constitutional rights where an illegal citizen does not. All they're doing is emitting the word illegal. That's all they were doing. That was the rhetoric. That was the difference between the left and the right. It was their rhetoric. But most people bought into what they were hearing. Well, they have constitutional rights. No, they don't. But yes, they do, by the way they're saying it, because they omitted the illegal part. And it's too much of that going on. which really makes me wonder what these last few generations have been taught in school and what they're being taught in college. It's definitely not the same history I was taught. Not at all. Because if they were taught the same history I was taught, they would have known the difference and they would have called them on it. And they wouldn't be getting caught up in the left and right paradigms of politics. And I see that too much, even in the protests going on. That's something I've been following up extremely, because I've been watching certain ones. Like I said, I've done a video that nobody wants to touch. In fact, I don't even know how it got demonetized on a channel that I'm not even monetizing. But instant flagged. And I changed the name of it. Oh no. I could see, because like I said, I've got a few more people waiting to do the interviews I got to get to. Because they've got an important story. But in these protesters and protest groups, I have seen and recognized some ink work. Ink work that is distinguishable from any ink, because it's not parlor ink, it's not speedball ink or indigo ink that you can buy in the stores. It is based off soot. That is why it is pure black, no blue hue or purplish blue hue. Black parlor ink has a blue hue to it. They can cover their faces all they want. When they expose their arms and hands where they like to tattoo themselves. And sometimes you can pay attention that way. No. But hopefully, maybe tomorrow night I can get Chris on here. Because I definitely want you guys to hear what he has to say on the tech side and the cryptocurrency side. Because it's interesting how he breaks it down. Like I said, when he gets done talking about it, you'll think it's a perfect utopia. But he'll also sit here and tell you the deception in it. It's ways I've heard it worded too. It is a deception. It's basically like they're saying, we're children, here's your allowance for the week. Here's the other deception. We live in a caste system still to this day. It's based on social economics, social poor, middle class, upper middle class, which I don't even think exists anymore, rich, wealthy, elite. In truth, peasant, serf, peasants, nobles. And, then your monarchies or priest caste and stuff like that. It's still the same old caste system. It's still the same old control system. Never gotten away from it. Our forefathers tried. They set the Constitution up so we wouldn't end up in that. But they also based a lot of their stuff on history. They based on the history of Rome. And the Roman Empire, yes, it grew. It became vast. It was a republic. But there was so much greed and corruption inside the Senate. Then you started having more of a dictatorship when it came to Caesar and some of the Roman legionnaires that were high up there. But any of the poor class, they were just that. They were either soldiers, slave soldiers. They didn't own land. They didn't have any real rights. They owed a service to the republic. History will teach us a lot. History is our biggest lesson when it comes to cryptocurrency. Why? Because our forefathers, when we started fighting for our freedom, fighting for our Constitution, this is right before the Boston Tea Party happened, which they say never happened in our history books now. It was based on the Stamp Act. You want to know my lineage? Look up Dictator John. The Stamp Act. We created a coin. We created the centennial coin. And they would not honor it because it had no monetary value. There was nothing backing it, so they wouldn't recognize it. So we couldn't pay our bills, pay our debts. We had to use the paper currency of Britain. Eventually, we end up backing our currency with gold. Then our currency had value. Right now, to this day, nobody's tell me what the Bitcoin is backed by. Is it the dollar? Is it the yen, the ruble, the pound, the euro? It's got to be backed by something, some type of currency. Otherwise, it's just, well, we all might as well be playing World of Warcraft and farming gold, intellectual make-believe gold, intellectual property. They don't want us bartering. They don't want us setting prices and values on things, because when we start doing that, we're taking the control away from them. You know, this power cord that's not attached to anything has monetary value because I can strip it and use the wiring to wire batteries. Or use the cord, the plug-in part, and rewire it to something so I can plug into the generator and power something. Nothing that we have laying around, minuscule piece that we'd consider junk we would normally throw away, it all has value. Whether it would be to burn and actually use it for energy, transferring, what's that called? I can't remember the technical name for it, but basically when you burn, you create carbon, which you can rig it to a generator and run your generator instead of off fuel, off the gases released from what you burn. You basically make a three-stage burner. And you drill it. I'll make one. I'll show you guys how it's made. And you drill a pipe in. And you run the pipe, connect some hoses, and connect it to the muffler. And it will power a generator. So anything you burn, you're creating fuel. Funny. It makes you rethink things that are junk, doesn't it? And then they're not hard to make. In fact, I can actually tell you, it was, I think season 2 of, what was that shit series called? Hillbilly something. Hillbilly Rednecks or Rocket City Rednecks. I can't remember. It was a bunch of hillbillies actually Okay, I'm back. Thought I got disconnected. That's probably my cue for it's time to get off here anyway. Like I said, I'm going to be doing streams the rest of the week on various topics, but on the 4th of July, guys, like I said, it's Independence Day. It's about our independence, and I want to do an Independence Day stream. I want to get people in, discuss things, talk about things. And Mr. Anderson, thank you for Am I back live? Okay. I'm wrapping up anyway. I don't know if you caught that, but thank you, Mr. Anderson. I enjoyed chatting with you. Felt good to have somebody in the chat for once. But like I said, 4th of July and our Independence Day, I'm going to do a live broadcast, stream, pretty much from the time I get up. For as long as people keep coming in, tuning in, see if I can get a few people to jump in with me. Hopefully maybe my friend in North Carolina can get on. I can usually talk to him, get him on through Hangouts on his cell phone, so he's got some interesting views as well. But it's, I want to, like I said, I'll open up Uber conference so we can just talk about the things we're seeing, the things that's going on. What's independence mean to us? What's the importance of it? Everybody gets a chance to give their own little message to people out there. Like I said, if I'm not doing another one tonight, I kind of want to watch the race. Like I said, I'm beat from getting on the lake all day. I just want to relax. But tomorrow, yeah, I've got some more videos in store. Maybe tomorrow we'll get Chris on, and we'll be able to do the cryptocurrency and the tech side of things that I wanted to do tonight. But he had to just message me a little while ago, said he was in a private chat with somebody that he actually wants me to talk to, which was kind of interesting. But like I said, I'd love to get him on here because when he gets done talking to you, you think all the tech and all the stuff, how it's going, will be a perfect utopia. Then he'll burst your bubble. Kind of. I mean, his theories and ideas, it's not really theories. I see what he's saying. I see things going that way. It's just, they would never be in the right hands. It'd be misused. It'd be like I said, we'd be treated like children. Here's your allowance for the week. Oh, because you're poor, you only get this much. And if you think about it, Hollywood already programmed you for that too. Look at all the movies that recently has come out in the last 10 years. The Hunger Games. I can go on and on and on. The programming. It's psychological warfare. They use it all the time. You're bombarded with it. Even when you go to sleep, if you sleep with a cell phone, well, most of us have Wi-Fi, so we're bombarded with it even when we go to sleep, and you don't even realize it. The frequencies and vibrations and energies that come off it. Is there ways to protect yourself from it? Oh, yeah. I will discuss some of them. Chris will as well. And my friend from North Carolina, he really will discuss it with you if you're willing to listen to him. Tomorrow I'll be updating my featured channels. Like I said, I'll feature 6 different channels every month. You can still find those guys in my channel. Just click on my channel. I want to introduce you to more people, new audiences, people that I follow, that I respect, that I love what they talk about. And believe it or not, many of them, I have different beliefs and views and belief systems in them, and I still follow them and watch them. I love the stuff they bring because it's eye-opening. It makes you think. It makes you step outside that box, which is the most important thing, being able to step outside your box, because it teaches you to adapt to any situation that may come up. We have to be able to adapt and change. We have to be able to see things from different perspectives. That's how we start to find common ground with people. But like I said, I'm going to get off. You guys enjoy your evening. Enjoy your 4th of July weekend. And remember, this is about our Independence Day. It's about our freedoms, our liberties, the things we should be holding most sacred. It's also about honoring the people that have served, that have bled, died, fought for. It's about telling California, New York, Chicago that want to be sanctuary cities and want to disrespect our homeless vets, saying that illegals have more priority than them. You want to find righteous causes to fight for, to protest, those should be the causes. Not what these politicians are throwing at you for left and right paradigms, because they're not about we the people for the people. And that's what this channel is always going to be about, we the people for the people. You guys enjoy. Thank you for all that's tuned in. Hit the like button. Thank you, Mr. Anderson, for the chat. I enjoyed it. You have a happy 4th of July weekend. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Oh, who knows, you might see me tonight, I don't know. But right now I'm going to sit back, make something to eat, watch the race, and find out who Chris wants me to talk to, so I can get him on my stream for a broadcast. Because I really do want to hear you, want you guys to hear what he's got to say about the cryptocurrency and the tech stuff. It's important. And because he also knows about the very same stuff I know when it comes to psychological warfare. We work pretty good together when we're bouncing stuff off. Sometimes I can simplify some of the things he says and make it in simpler terms. Other times he can do the same for me. Because I know sometimes I just get rambling and keep going, and sometimes it's nice to have somebody inside the chat to let them talk for a while. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow for sure, maybe tonight, I don't know. But so I'm going to go make something to eat, watch the race, and just relax for a bit. I really got way too much sun on that lake. But thank you guys all for tuning in. Like I said, if you liked the video, hit like. If you didn't, hit dislike. But if you really liked it, subscribe. Make sure you click the bell. And feel free to comment, guys. I will answer comments. I ain't got nothing else better to do right now. It's the weekend. And, other than being outside doing the projects I got to do around here, which apparently I got to pull up the welder today or tomorrow. Yeah, chat with you later, Mr. Anderson. Thank you. I enjoyed our chat. I really appreciate it. Apparently I got to weld the boat trailer that our ball, I don't even remember what it's called. Yeah, too much sun. The hitch that goes on the ball. Yeah, somehow my dad twisted it. When I mean twisted, he ripped both sides. We got lucky and was able to get the trailer back and the boat back. But so I got welding to do again, which is okay because I got to finish that boom crane. I was just not hoping. I was hoping that would have been like next week's project. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later.